Video, we're going to look at number 8 in your Chapter 1 review packet. Remember, if you need any help with these problems, you can always reference your review packet notes right here. The particular problem that we're working on, number 8, deals with a lot of geometry, dealing with midpoint, perpendicular bisector, altitude, things like that. And so you can see that in your packet around page 4 or page 5, you'll see that it gives you definitions of some of these geometry terms, and they even work out the problem for you if you ever need any help with that. And that goes for all the problems that are in your packet. Remember, you can always use that as reference. All right, let's go ahead and do number 8 together. Find the equation of the median from A to BC. I'm going to go ahead and plot those points first. So A is at 8, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5. So A is up here. Okay. B is at 0, 1. And C is at 9, negative 2. 9, negative 2. Here's C. All right, so find the equation of the median, and so from A to BC. The median would look something like this. If these all connected together, then the definition of a median is it goes from the particular vertex, point A, to the middle of BC. So what it does is it cuts BC into two congruent parts. And so you're looking for that middle value right there. So since we need the middle value, that leads me to want to find the midpoint of BC. So I have B and C. I'm going to go ahead and find the midpoint of BC. So the midpoint of BC would be x1 plus x2. So here's x1 and here's x2. So we're doing 0 plus 9 divided by 2. And then we're going to take our y1 and y2 and add those up together too. 1 plus negative 2 and divided by 2. That'll give us the midpoint of BC. So here we'll get 9 halves. And here we'll get negative 1 half. Okay? And you can see that point. Yeah, that does kind of match up with that value, right? 9 halves is like 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5, right around there. And then we're down a little bit, negative half. It's not drawn very accurately, right? But it's there. So now that we have the points, so there's one point, we have the other point of A, right? What's the other point of A? Well, the point of A was at 8, 5. So now that we know that we have these 2 points, we can find the equation of that point, of those 2 points now. And so to find the equation of the 2 points, we can just use our point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now to do that, we have a point, that's for sure, but we don't have a slope. You know, in this point slope form, we need a slope. And so we need to find the slope of these 2 points. So let's go ahead and do that. So the slope is given by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that'll be 5 minus negative half over 8 minus 9 halves. 5 plus 1 half is the same thing as 10 over 2 plus 1 half, so 11 halves over, and then 8 is the same thing as 16 halves. I'm just getting common denominators here. And 16 minus 9 will give us 7 halves. And so for those 2 fractions, to simplify, we're going to end up getting 11 halves times 2 sevenths, or that's the same thing as 11 sevenths. So the slope is 11 sevenths. We're going to go ahead and plug that in to our point slope form there. That's 11 sevenths. And we have x minus, and then again, just like we did yesterday, it doesn't matter what point we plug in. 8, 5 does seem like the easier point to plug in, so I'm just going to plug in the 8 here and plug in the 5 over here for the y value, and that'll do it. We can just leave it in that form, just like that. Okay, and so that'll answer question A. Question B, find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of BC. So using a different color now, and I'll actually erase a few things here, just so I don't confuse you with a bunch of lines. Taking that line off. The equation of the perpendicular bisector of BC means what you want to do is bisect BC, which we've already done. We already know that point that we found from part A, but what we want to do is bisect it in a way that is perpendicular. So you can see my purple line here. It's perpendicular to line BC, and it's not necessarily going through that point A. It's actually not going through point A. So that's the difference between the perpendicular bisector versus the median, which would be this line right here. Right, so there are different lines there. All right, so for that reason, what it sounds like we need though is we still need that midpoint of BC, and we have already found that. We're going to go ahead and use that midpoint. So for part B, we're going to use that midpoint of 9/2 and -1/2 still. Okay. Let's see. Now, what else do we need? Well, to find the equation of this perpendicular line, there's a property of perpendicularity that you need to remember about lines. It's if you can find the slope of BC, then the perpendicular line to BC would have an opposite reciprocal slope. So we actually already found the slope of BC, didn't we? We found the slope of that. No, we didn't. I take that back. We did not find the slope of BC, so we need to find the slope of BC. So let's go ahead and find the slope of BC. To do that, what we can say is here are our 2 points, right? And we're just going to go ahead and put it into our slope form, our slope formula, which is 1 minus -2 over 0 minus 9. And so we're going to get a slope of 1 minus -2. That'll give us 3 over -9. So we get a slope of -1/3 then. So our slope is -1/3. And that's the slope of BC. Remember that. So that means that the purple line, the line we truly want to find, will have an opposite reciprocal slope. So this slope is not going to be -1/3. Instead, it's going to be 3 over 1, right? We do the opposite reciprocal. And so we're going to take that slope of 3 and put it into our point slope form. So y minus, we already have our point, -1/2 equals, now our opposite reciprocal slope is 3 times x minus 9/2. And if you want to simplify it just a bit, y plus 1/2 equals 3 times x minus 9/2. That'll do just fine. That'll do it right there. All right, so in the interest of time, I'm just going to stop here. And then, as I told you earlier, if you need any more help with C and D, feel free to reference this study guide right here, and that can help you to find the other components of that problem. Okay. All right, have a good rest of the day. And finish up the packet. Feel free to work with your group members.